it's Catherine from CatherinePuller.com. I'm excited today to be participating in a blog hop with Whimsy Stamps. They have a new little release going on and it's totally adorable. I'm going to be using these little owl stamps and I'm thinking maybe a little bit of watercoloring on these guys and some other fun stuff, maybe some die cutting and sponging. But first, if you're new to my channel, I hope you'll subscribe and be sure to head over to CatherinePuller.com so you can get on my newsletter list. I share exclusive tutorials that I don't share anywhere else except newsletter. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna let you in on a little something. I've been playing around here for a while with this one idea, making a tag and doing like a masked landscape, and that's all well and good and fun and cute. And then I was taking the owls and I was watercoloring them, and I was not liking at all the results that I was coming up with. So I was kind of getting a little frustrated. I just decided to see about changing direction. So I pulled out some patterned paper and I started cutting out my little owls and my balloons with patterned paper, and I was really digging that and having a lot of fun with that. So rather than stress and fight with the watercoloring, I'm going to trash those and I'm going to do some patterned paper instead. So I think I'll be happier and we'll have some fun cards. This is going to be a pretty simple design, so I'm going to make a bunch of them. I'm going to score at 5.5. This is crumb cake cardstock by Stampin' Up, and then I'm going to turn it, and at 4.25 I'll cut, and then I have the base for 2 cards, and I've already done several more of these because I'm going to do a bunch at once. We'll do some mass production. And then I'm cutting, half would be 4.25, but I'm going to shave off 3/4 of an inch. So can you see my ruler here? There's Eva's little label, just in case anybody is wondering whose paper cutter this is. So we're going to pull back 3/4 of an inch and go to 3.5. Make the same cut on the other side. So I have 2 strips that are 3.5 inches long. And then I want to make the same measurement on the other side. So 5.5 would be half. I'm going to pull back 3/4 of an inch, which is 4.25. And if you're more of a math genius than I am, no, it's 4 3/4. So here are all my card bases in my layers, and I'm going to set those aside while I work on the little owls. I have this Second City Kelly Perky patterned paper pack, and I'm just going to take the owls and I'm going to stamp the owls directly onto the patterned paper. This one may be a little dark. Let's see. Yeah, I think that one's a little too dark. All right, I'm going to concentrate on these 2 patterns for my owls. I'm doing 8 cards, so I'm going to stamp out 8 owls. Now that all my owls are stamped, it's time to cut them out using my Big Shot and these little coordinating die cuts. Whoops. These are nice because you can see right through them. Line up your die and crank it through your Big Shot. I decided to go with all the same patterned paper because I wanted to have the 2 colors in the owl instead of just 1. So I will cut all of these out at once. When mass producing cards, it's time efficient to do one step and do it on all of them at once before moving to the next step. Now I have 8 owls and it's time for 8 balloons. This one is easy because I don't have to line it up. I'm just going to run it through, and I'm using this really fun orange ombre paper. They'll make adorable little balloons. I have my owls, I have my balloons, I have my cardstock. Now it's time to get to the stamping part. On the owl, it's like a grayish color, but I decided I wanted to use a more like brownish, just a neutral color palette there, and then add in the Tangelo and the Teal Zeal, all Memento inks. So we'll lay out. I'm doing 8 at once. Usually I do 4, but we're going a little crazy today. First thing I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment on all 8. Next, I'm going to pull in this Happy Everything stamp set by Whimsy, and I'm going to use these little guys right here. If you hop over to my blog, I will have a listing of all the supplies used so that you can check it out along with links. I did pre-stamp this to try out my placement on these things to make sure I knew where I wanted them to go, to get an overall cohesive look with these stamped images. So I'm kind of using that as a reference off to the side. Just a tip for you, do some scratch paper first if you want to. to get a feel for where you want your images to go. So I'll stamp all of these little guys in this lovely blue color. And again, it's most time efficient to do all of the same color at once so that I'm not constantly washing off my stamp and re-inking in another color. Now I'm going to move on to this Tangelo color and do a few of these little guys. And then I'll add in a few of the Toffee Crunch. I want my layer to pop off the card base, so I will add dimensional adhesive to my layers. Before I move on, I'm going to show you a design idea that you can add. Basic backgrounds and borders, another stamp set by Whimsy. I'm going to do the same, what is this? Toffee Crunch ink that I did on with those little bursts. And we'll just do this about 2/3 of the way down to the bottom, and I'm lining it up with my Fiskars stamp press, those grids on there, and I'm just going to press that down. I'll do this on a few of them. Now for the next step, I'm taking off all the backs of all the dimensional adhesive. So they're all laid flat, sticky side up obviously, and then I'm just going to add these to the card fronts. Now the next step may be the most tedious part, tying on the little baker's twine for the balloon strings. I'm kind of thinking maybe I should have stamped these instead. In this stamp set, there's a little balloon string, and that would have been fabulous, but I've already put these together, so I guess I'm stuck doing all the baker's twine, but it will be adorable, so it'll be worth the time and effort. And then I'm just cutting them a little bit long, not long at all, a little bit short. Well, I'm cutting them as long as I think I need them to be to go on the card front. I'll be back in a second after all of these are tied. I know you all are envious of me right now, tying all these little balloons. I'm going to do all the dimensionals at once, so I will add one dimensional to his little arm, and that's where the balloon string will get secured to. And then we'll do a dimensional on each balloon as well. Now I have all the dimensionals added on, so I'm going to do the balloon, pull the string down, and add the owl right on top of it. Make sure the little dimensional that's on the hand is on the string, and that way it will stay in place, basically gluing it right there. So I'm looking back on my day today, and it's hilarious how I started out with this card and now what I end up with. It's completely different. Does that ever happen to you? But I'm pleased with the end results here. It's a very different color palette for me, and I really like it. It's pretty refreshing. It would go for a girl or a boy. And actually, I'm thinking if I extend that string below the hand, that's okay too. And then I don't have to worry about cutting it off. So 8 cards in a jiffy. I can send these on with my daughter to school so the teachers have some fun birthday cards. And if you hop over to catherinepooler.com, you can check out all the supplies I used and more up-close photos and details. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you like it so YouTube knows you like my videos. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great one.